Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from Hell's Kitchen to the Iceberg Lounge and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve? How are you?
I am living life to its fullest today, Mike.
Wow, to its fullest.
Yep, doing the suburban dad thing of taking a walk with my kid and changing out fish tank water. So,
oof, yeah,
it's as dialed in as I get.
That is living life to its fullest, especially when you installed in your fish tank the thing you took an AT-AT.
Oh yeah,
You sent me a picture of a wonderful fish tank decoration.
Yeah, I knew I was doing parenting right when I walked into the store, and normally I like all my tanks are very. I have 3 now, but they're all very natural and like what the reef would look like or what the freshwater thing would look like. And I walked in, and my son immediately saw at his eye level a little AT-AT statue, and he's like, "We're buying that." I was like, okay, but maybe not. And he's like, every time we walked away from it, can we get that AT-AT? I'm like, I must have succeeded at something.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'll take it. Nerd win. Nerd dad win.
You got to reward good behavior when they showcase it.
There you go.
So, all right, we got a good amount of stuff to talk about this week. We're starting off with a huge bummer, and we're going to start off with it so we can talk about it and get it out of the way. This is just heartbreaking news. Comic book legend George Perez. If you are any kind of comic book aficionado, you know his name, or you should know his name, or you know his work without knowing his name. And we'll get into that in a second. But George Perez has announced that he has inoperable stage 3 pancreatic cancer. And on top of that, he will not seek medical treatment for it. He's been given between 6 to 12 months to live, and has chosen to spend that time enjoying his life to the best that he can. You should send him tips on the fish tank thing that we just talked about. Enjoying his life the best he can, spending time with his family. He doesn't want to be bogged down with doctor's visits and being poked and prodded and insurance things and things like that. He reactivated his social media to announce this and gave a very beautiful statement about his feelings on the whole situation and his love for his fans and all the people in his life. Is very touching and moving sentiment.
Yeah, and everything I've seen has been a complete outpouring of support. Like it's crazy to see how many lives he's shaped, and I mean he was a stalwart in the industry, and as you wrote in the notes, inarguably shaped modern superhero comics. Like
yes, absolutely.
He was one of the backbones of what shaped where we are today in the industry.
Yeah. Yep, his impact on the comic book industry cannot be overstated in any way. He was primarily a penciler and artist. He did a lot of cover artwork. He also wrote a little bit as well. But get a load of this for those that you don't know. George Perez worked on character-defining runs for Superman, Wonder Woman, the Teen Titans. Helped invent what we think of the Teen Titans and the character of Nightwing. The Avengers, the Fantastic Four. He also drew stories you might have heard called, I don't know, the Infinity Gauntlet, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and the follow-up Infinite Crisis. Infinity Gauntlet and Crisis on Infinite Earths are stories that defined and shaped the Marvel universe and DC universe, respectively. Like I said, he helped create the Teen Titans with Marv Wolfman, created the character of Nightwing. He helped create many other characters. His Superman run is legendary. His work, he started out working with Marvel and the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, did some legendary stuff there as well. Just, again, his contributions can't be overstated. And he did part of his statement that he released on social media. He said that he hopes to be able to make one last public appearance wherein I can be photographed with as many fans as possible, with the proviso that I get to hug each and every one of them. I just want to be able to say goodbye with smiles as well as tears.
Yeah.
Like, how incredible is that? That's such like a wonderful way. It's such a wonderful way to think about it. A wonderful goal for him to have, considering what he's up against. George Perez retired from comics in 2019. He was still doing appearances and things like that, but he's also a diabetic, and many diabetics have trouble with their eyesight as they get older. This was the case for him. He currently only has one eye that is working, so he was still taking commissions up until the point where he got this diagnosis and decided he's going to refund everyone that he hadn't gotten commissions to. But he actually hadn't been doing comic book work since 2019. And even then it was kind of like few and far between because he had these other health issues. But nonetheless, an absolute gigantic legend in the industry. And as I feel like so many aspects of this has to be difficult. Obviously, to get that diagnosis and to face that is difficult. To have to announce it to people, well, I guess that's the thing. You don't have to announce it to people. He chose to. He chose to tell people that he's gonna die. He's dying.
Yep.
And it's really a gift that he gives the comic book community and his fans, and really everybody in his life, even his family. They get to address him with the knowledge that we only have him for a short amount of time. Right. And that's not what we get from a lot of, famous people that we love. Somebody like David Bowie comes to mind, who knew that he was sick, knew that he was dying, and didn't say anything, recorded an album. And
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Yeah. To relate it more to nerdy stuff. Absolutely. Just
Bowie qualifies too.
Yeah, of course.
So, no, I did note in a lot of the social media around it, people are calling for he did that run with Kurt Busiek on Just League versus the Avengers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't put that in the notes.
Yeah, people are calling out to have Marvel and DC republish that in like a hardback collected, and basically just hand the Perez family a bunch of royalties and like give him one last send off of, hey, you had this impact on this seminal crossover run, and it would be a fitting way to send him off.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Just because it's crazy that doesn't exist anywhere, like that you can't buy that. This was the last time. It was the last time that Marvel and DC did a crossover.
I think
so. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And there's that one. I don't know what issue of it is, but there's that one great issue that's got. It's like Superman, and he's all like, his costume's all like torn, and he's like battle weary on the front, but he's also holding Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer at the same time. It's like, that's awesome.
One of those images that if you hadn't ever seen it, you wouldn't ever think you would ever see. And it's like, it was.
Yeah. There's some incredible panel layouts, courtesy of George Perez in that series. There's one. I can't describe the whole thing. Just like a series of like Thor swinging the hammer at Superman, and Superman catches it and like throws Thor and the hammer like a mile away. Oh, it's amazing. But yeah. Anyway, I don't know. All the love in the world to George Perez. We here at the Multiverse Report love and respect him, and like I said, it's a gift that we have now. So we can send him this love and make sure that he knows how much the world loves him. And we have some time to show him that before we don't have time to do that anymore. So, okay. All the love in the world to George Perez. We love you. Moving on to things that are more fun to talk about. We got a good amount of Marvel news this week, but amount of Marvel news, but
mostly a lot of things.
Yeah, but mostly stuff that we're going to handle in the one shots because it's announcements, not necessarily like dive-inable material, except for this thing.
Yeah, this may be a nugget we've danced around a few times here and there, and got a little closer to last week in Hawkeye Talkeye when one Wilson Fisk decided to show up. However,
we think.
Well, yeah.
We think.
If it's not,
Anyway.
that's a big red herring. But either way, Kevin Feige has, I don't want to say just because of the phrasing, he hasn't officially confirmed.
Well,
but, did he have something else after that?
No. Sorry,
okay.
You say what you're going to say. I don't mean, sorry.
I was going to say, he mentioned that if Daredevil is to return to the MCU, that Charlie Cox would be playing Daredevil.
Yes.
So he basically he confirmed that he will not be recast. He hasn't confirmed that he's coming back. So that everybody is exploded of like, oh my god, Daredevil's going to be back, and it's like, well, it's not necessarily true, but he has confirmed that it will be Charlie Cox if Daredevil comes back.
Yes, the exact quote from Kevin Feige was, if you were to see Daredevil in upcoming things, Charlie Cox, yes, would be the actor playing Daredevil. Where we see that, how we see that, when we see that, remains to be seen. Now,
I was looking at the wrong show notes. I forgot you had the actual quote in there.
Oh, no, that's fine. I thought we were just like going back and forth like expert podcast.
Oh, that works too. Pure professionalism.
My question about this is great news for someone like me who loves Daredevil. We talked about it again in Hawkeye. Like, if you're not watching Hawkeye, you should be watching Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they're building to some stuff that might coincide with what we're talking about right now. Somebody like me was a huge Daredevil fan after we finished our Hawkeye Talkeye last week. True to my word, I did stop the podcast and go start watching Daredevil. About like 4 episodes in at this point. But anyway, here's my question. This weekend is the release of Spider-Man No Way Home. There have been rumors for months, heavily rumored that Charlie Cox is going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home as Matt Murdock. Peter Parker's lawyer, more or less. Not necessarily he's going to be there as Daredevil, but he's going to be as Matt Murdock. So when the internet has been talking about the possibility that he's going to show up in this movie, and Kevin Feige, with less than 2 weeks to the release of this movie, makes this quote, why is he saying this? Why now?
Right.
Why would he confirm this now? He's had years since Daredevil was canceled. And he's been cagey. He gets these questions all the time.
Yeah.
Is Charlie Cox going to come back? Is Kristen Ritter going to come back as Jessica Jones? Is Luke Cage, is Punisher, Iron Fist? Are the Netflix show characters coming back? He gets that question all the time, and he's always cagey about it. He always says, "Oh well, yeah, everything's on the board. Anything can happen. You never know. Blah blah blah. Stay tuned." He's always like a little, slippery about it. He never answers it directly. Why now, days away from a movie where a lot of people think he might be in it? Why would you do that? I feel like, to me, it's either wait until after the movie comes out, and then either if he's in it, you don't have to say anything. If he's not in it, then you say this quote.
Mm-hmm.
Then you address the people that are mad that the rumors didn't come true by saying, hey, we know you thought he was going to be in this movie. He wasn't, but when Daredevil comes back, it's going to be the guy that you want it to be.
Right.
Like, it's so weird to me that he would say it now when he said it. Why?
Yeah, it does seem like some funky timing. I know initially, like we had talked about this when it dropped, off air, and I was like, well, maybe he slipped up, but it's Feige. He doesn't really slip up. Like that's been the hallmark. Is he keeps everything close to the vest.
I know, and you had said maybe it was to cover like a leak or something,
right?
But I don't know, man. There were leaks months ago of things that I saw that I wish I didn't see, and Feige hasn't said anything about that stuff.
Yep. Well, and that's, I mean, when I heard that, I was like, oh, maybe we'll hear something in the next day or two of like this was going to be a big leak, and then it's like, well, we didn't hear anything, so guess that wasn't it. So
yeah. So I mean, this does this make you think that he is or isn't in Spider-Man No Way Home?
Yes. I really like
doesn't
it.
Change it
really,
at all.
No, it really. It's weird because it feels it feels like he wouldn't have done this if he was in it, but he also wouldn't have done, like you said, like,
I know.
there's no benefit for him to say this either way.
Zero.
So, I don't know. There's got to be some end game, but we've already seen that, so I don't know.
I mean, it can't be that he thought, well, if I say this, more people will go see Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, people
Right.
are going to see that movie, man. Like, you don't have to drum up more business for this highly anticipated
Right.
movie. And I don't know, like, clearly I mean, okay, spoilers for Hawkeye. I guess we kind of already said it, but like, they're really, if they're like we were talking about last week, like, it seems like, again, spoilers for Hawkeye, it seems like they are going to introduce Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, on Hawkeye. And if they were able to time this in a way that Matt Murdock is going to show up in Spider-Man No Way Home, and then the week after we're going to get Wilson Fisk in Hawkeye, that's an incredible way to bring Daredevil and all his, characters or whatever back into the MCU. That's incredible. But again, I just don't understand why he would say it now.
Yeah, it's a mystery, and maybe we'll have more to come in the next couple of weeks, but that kind of dropped out of nowhere, so it was definitely...
I mean, we'll have something after this weekend.
That's
whether
true.
or not,
yeah. As of Thursday, somebody will know something.
Yeah. I am planning on going to see Spider-Man No Way Home. I don't know when I'm going to be able to see it, so I don't know that we'll be able to talk about it a week from now, because I may not have seen it yet. And Steve, I don't know if you will have seen it.
I am planning on seeing it. I don't know how or when. Yeah. But I've resigned to the fact that I'm going to see it ahead of the Disney Plus release. The question is how that happens. I don't know.
Yeah. They still rent out theaters at that movie theater by us? You used to be able to do that. Like, during the height of the pandemic, you could rent out a movie theater. I wonder if you can still do that. Huh. Probably not for a movie like Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right, where they're all hands on deck. They're just like, no.
Exactly. I was going to say that it should be just you and me renting out an entire theater for two people.
Do that, and you got to set up some kitschy, like, MST3K style camera and just podcast live during the movie.
Except it would just be us like this.
Huh?
The whole time we wouldn't be able to talk. We'd just be mouth
jaws on the floor. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought I had something else to say about this, but I can't really think of it because I think it's all stuff that I said last week in Hawkeye Talkeye. Basically, like, as excited as I am about this possibility, I'm less excited about a PG-13 version of Daredevil because the show is pretty, I guess there's a lot of it that could be PG-13 if there's like just less blood squirting out of people's mouths when he punches them or something. You can all the action is still pretty PG-13. It's incredibly choreographed, but spoiler alerts for a show that was out years ago. I think it's in episode 4 where Kingpin smashes a dude's head in a car door until he dies.
Yeah,
I don't think you could do that in a Disney Plus show.
You might get the like one slam, he falls on the ground, and you assume he's dead.
Yeah, it's gonna be if this is what's happening, if this is gonna be a resurgence of Daredevil, whether it be a movie or a new Disney Plus series. I hope they're able to keep the tone of the original series, which was dark and intense and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, regardless, I think Charlie Cox is a great actor. I think he's great as Matt Murdock. So whether or not he's in Spider-Man No Way Home, whether or not what is happening on Hawkeye is what we think is happening, I am excited that someday we will see Charlie Cox return as Daredevil, because I can't imagine that a character as popular as Daredevil and an actor as popular as Charlie Cox playing Daredevil, I can't imagine that he says this without any plans for him returning at all.
Hey, like, at least he didn't confirm that Ben Affleck is coming back as Daredevil.
What a shock that would have been. That would have been such a huge right turn. Oh my God.
Oh, that's going to be the multiverse issue in No Way Home.
Wow, can you imagine that? I would love that.
Murdock.
Oh my God, I would love that.
Murdock, so Charlie Cox is his lawyer, but Ben Affleck shows up as Daredevil /
Oh, Steve, you're blowing my mind. That's what I want.
It'd be amazing.
Okay.
That'd be
now
amazing.
this is what I want from No Way Home. All the stuff we've seen in the trailer for No Way Home now, I want that to be all Act 1.
Yep.
And at the end of the trailer, when Doctor Strange is going, they're coming through, I can't stop them. I want Ben Affleck as Daredevil. I want Eric Bana as Hulk. I want Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider. I want all the pre-MCU Marvel
Jennifer
characters.
Garner as Elektra. And
I want Jennifer Garner, Elektra. I want all that stuff.
The original cast of the Fantastic Four
Fantastic Four, Jessica Alba and Michael Chiklis. Chris Evans. For me, Chris Evans as Human Torch.
Chris Evans shows back up. He's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. Hey,
Captain America guy. Kind of looks like me.
Oh, my God. Do that. All right. Well, that'll be fun. We'll figure out what's going on, hopefully, after someone sees Spider-Man No Way Home. Hopefully it's, So, I guess Multiverse Report listeners, don't get too excited for next week, like we're going to do a review of Spider-Man No Way Home. It's very possible that neither of us have seen it and that we'll both be avoiding spoilers for it.
In
I'm sure
full spoiler-free mode.
Yeah, I'm sure we may read some reactions, some spoiler-free reactions from people, possibly. But I can't imagine that both of us will have seen it by next week. So why don't you go ahead and lower those expectations, Spider-Man-wide. Loyal listeners, we appreciate it. Moving on from Marvel to the DC realm, we got a confirmation about a story that we reported on a couple months ago, that HBO Max is developing a Penguin spinoff from the upcoming The Batman movie, Robert Pattinson's Batman movie with director Matt Reeves. Now it has been confirmed that Colin Farrell is returning to star as the Penguin in this spin-off show, reprising the role from the as of unreleased The Batman movie that comes out in March. This is a series was announced in September, like I said, without Farrell being confirmed for it, but would have been kind of crazy if they were making this show based on a movie that hasn't come out yet with a character we haven't seen yet, and they already announced the spin-off show, but a different person is playing the role. That would have been weird.
Right.
But now he's on board to star and also executive produce the show, so he's got more of a little bit of a stake in it.
That would have been weird, but would that have actually been weird by DC standards and what they had done in the past? Like, currently, they seem to be back on track, but historically, that would have been a very, it makes sense.
Historically, sure, but only because this is a direct spin-off from the movie. It's not like it's just another show about Gotham City or whatever.
Yep. Directly
and
tied to this one.
I could also see them making it work without Colin Farrell, because as we've seen from the trailers, Colin Farrell is unrecognizable as the Penguin in these trailers. So they could have probably found somebody and put the same makeup on them if he ended up not doing it. But I feel like they must have been in negotiations with him already. They must have thought that it was looking good. Otherwise, they wouldn't have announced that they were doing it. It seemed like that would have been dumb to do it without him.
I think they should just do It's Always Sunny in Gotham City and bring back DeVito.
That'd be amazing. Speaking of DeVito, I read his Gotham City villains. Remember we reported a couple weeks ago that there was like an 80th anniversary of certain villains that was coming out this week. Danny DeVito wrote the one that had to do with the Penguin, and it is about Penguin and Catwoman being in love, which is weird, but not weird from his perspective, because that's Danny DeVito's version of the Penguin was in love with Catwoman in Batman Returns. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert for this story. If you haven't read the story, skip ahead or whatever if you're planning on reading it. Not only are they in love, they also they put their villainous plans aside, and they, I don't know, long story short, they cure COVID-19.
Oh.
That's like the story. They figure out a way to vaccinate the entire world.
That's the most Danny DeVito possible story I can think of. It
was great.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was great. It was weird, but it's cool. And the Penguin is definitely drawn like the Danny DeVito Penguin. It's cool.
Nice.
Anyway, the show is being written by Lauren LaFranc, who is a writer from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she's writing the show. Matt Reeves is producing the show, director of The Batman. So this is said that it's going to be just like Penguin's rise to power, which we've seen on shows like Gotham before, but Gotham, was also insane and all over the place. And I'm hoping that this is kind of like more of a gritty crime boss kind of like feel and drive to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Colin Farrell's a hell of an actor, so I would watch him do anything. And you tell me he's in a Batman show, I am 100% on board for this, especially considering this is one of two series that from HBO Max that are spinning off directly from the Batman. The other one being, I don't know if we have an official title yet, but it's about the Gotham City PD and the corruption within that. And I believe Jeffrey Wright is supposed to return as Commissioner Gordon for that. So they're definitely pulling in the right people and paying the right amount of money to get people like Jeffrey Wright, to get Colin Farrell, to get J.K. Simmons to come back for the Batgirl movie. Like HBO Max is definitely throwing some money around to get these people. They seem to be doing it right, I guess is what I'm saying. So I'm excited. And it's interesting to me to see if there's any crossover between this Penguin show and the GCPD show.
Right.
As it seems like there definitely could be, if one's about the police and one's about organized crime. Seems like there's room for tons of crossover there, but that would be interesting if we get this little like small Batman universe with the movies and the we get a cinematic universe, but with a movie series, but also like spin-off TV series, which I guess that's something that HBO Max and DC has said that they're trying to do, is do miniseries that coincide with the films. So I don't know. I'm excited about this.
I think we've seen on the CW side and all that what they do with these long running series, like the mini series tied into the film might be a little more palatable. Kind of, in all honesty, I mean, we've seen it works for Marvel. We've seen it's working for Star Wars. So, only makes sense to like flesh out a couple of stories here and there with stuff like this. So,
yeah, for sure. It seems like they're hiring the right talent and doing it in the right way. And I don't know. I'm excited. I feel like in like another year or two, there's just going to be a glut of DC HBO Max content that I am so excited. I'm going to drown in it. And I cannot wait to drown in it. I feel like I already am. Like, I'm still not caught. I still haven't finished Doom Patrol season 3. There's still so much
season 2.
Yeah, I know.
I got so much things I'm catching up on.
But I'm talking as a DC guy.
Right.
Like, I want to watch all these things real bad, and I still haven't. I just can't wait until this is like. I can't wait till I'm drowning in DC content, quality DC content, I should say. So anyway, Colin Farrell, can't wait to see you put on all that weird makeup and be unrecognizable on my TV screen. Moving from DC into a galaxy far, far away. That's right. We're talking about Star Wars. Amanda Stenberg, I think is how you pronounce it. Stenberg has been cast in Star Wars: The Acolyte. This is a Disney Plus Star Wars series that I forgot about. Forgot what's happening.
Fair enough. I mean, it's set in an era that most people don't know is happening, which I'm currently enthralled in because it's been a very solid story. Again, still have to get you that trade, but
it's High Republic.
Yep.
Jason, right? It's said to take place in the last years of the High Republic. So
so the High Republic is set 300 before the Battle of Yavin to about 80-ish before the Battle of Yavin.
Okay.
So it's like that 200 and change year period between, it starts in an era of literal galactic peace, and they've there's been some threats that have shown up. Thankfully at this point, no Sith in anything that I've read, so it's like it's good to see a Star Wars Jedi focused series that it's a very different take on the Jedi from what we've seen in the trilogies and supporting material, as well as even different from the legend stuff from long ago. But this era is pretty intriguing, and I'll be interested to see where and what the Acolyte goes, and I guess is based on. There was some initial thoughts that it was going to be based along the lines of the current comic book run, with the main character Keith Trennis being the focus of it. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen, especially if they're saying it's at the end of the High Republic. But
right. Well, you said no Sith, but from what I read, apparently the word acolyte, typically in the Star Wars universe, typically
Correct.
refers to a young Sith who has just begun their training. So is Amanda Stenberg playing that young Sith?
It could be. And coming out of the era that it is in, it would have been post Rule of Two, pre Palpatine. So there's a lot of gaps to fill in.
Yeah, I mean, that's my question, because the synopsis of the series, it says series takes place in the last years of the High Republic era, and it's been described as a female-led mystery thriller that will involve the sudden emergence of mysterious dark side powers. So, are we going to see a young Palpatine in this? Are we going to see his master?
God,
I can't remember his name. What was the Palpatine's master?
Plagueis.
Plagueis, yeah. Are we going to see Plagueis?
The Wise. Have I told you that, Ted?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Darth Plagueis thing.
Yeah.
And that Stenberg is somehow involved, somehow learning from him, learning from young Palpatine, maybe.
Right, and their track record is actually pretty solid. Between you would have seen Stenberg in The Hunger Games. She played Rue.
Yep. She was also in The Hate You Give, which was supposed to be very. I didn't. My wife read the books. It was incredible. I don't think I ever watched the movie, but she's supposedly very good in it.
Same. They'll be acting under the helm of Leslie Headland, who was the showrunner on Russian Doll. So
and that show was great.
Yeah.
So I'm down for this. And I only say I forgot about it because it's the one we haven't. Well, this and Lando, we haven't heard very much on since they announced it. I think we've actually heard a little bit more on this than we've heard on Lando, and I'm dying to hear more about Lando, whether or not that's happening even. Come on, Donald Glover, sign the paper. Let's get rolling on this thing. I want to see that. But I think I remember Leslie Headland gave some kind of quote. I think we talked about it months ago about how she was excited about working on it, and no specifics or anything, but this is the most specific that we've heard about this. And I don't know, I'm excited because this is something that's so far away from everything else, but will probably eventually tie into something that we know about, whether it's even tangential like Darth Plagueis or whatever.
I mean, 82 before the Battle of Yavin, you're looking at, Palps would have been not born too far after that, so...
Do we know how old Palpatine is when we meet him in...
it depends. By Legends canon, he would have not been alive yet, but who knows with... this would have been just before where Darth Plagueis, the novel, takes place, but that went Legends, so... this might be the reemergence of the Sith, or something along those lines.
I mean, from what we've seen recently cinematically from Star Wars, they love giving us some Palpatine. We don't think we need it. So who knows? Palpatines, that's a good point. It will make. I will say that if we do get a young Palpatine in this show, it will certainly make more sense than giving us an old clone of him.
Right.
In Rise of Skywalker.
Now is that going to be so you're saying this is going to be like the Star Wars version of young Sheldon spinning off of Big Bang Theory?
I hope it's not about Palpatine. I don't want a Palpatine series. I want an Acolyte series. I want Amanda Stenberg to do their best in creating a new character that I will love or love to hate.
And for the record, I've never seen either of those shows that I just mentioned.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. I almost started feeling less of you.
I think I saw 2 episodes of Big Bang Theory and realized I was that wasn't a thing.
No, I watched Big Bang Theory for longer than I care to admit before I was it was like someone flipped a switch in my brain. I was like, wait a second, this is terrible, and it's making fun of me.
Right.
People are. This is you're laughing at these people. You're not laughing with them. You're laughing at them for liking this stuff and being nerds, and it's not really that funny. It's really, they're just having normal nerd conversations, but the laugh track is telling you that this should be laughed at because it's hilarious that they like Star Trek.
Anything with a laugh track.
Yeah, not great. Anyway, I'm very pumped for this. Obviously, there's no release date or anything. They just cast the main character. So
yeah,
I don't know,
to come.
but I just want it. We're getting Book of Boba Fett at the end of this month. I can't wait for that.
Well, if you need a few novels and a couple of comics to tide you over, I've got you covered.
I think I'm going to be watching some Star Wars pretty soon in some form or another prior to Book of Boba Fett, because I don't know, my son has been making noises about watching Return of the Jedi, and I'm like, well, we should watch the first two again before we watch Return of the Jedi, buddy. So might be getting into that soon.
Godspeed.
Anyway, Star Wars is great, and we all love it. But moving on from Star Wars into some comic books. We're doing a Kickstarter call out, and kinda calling out Kickstarter in a different way. Kickstarter announced this week they are transitioning cryptocurrency. What the hell? From a blog post, they said they are supporting the development of a decentralized crowdfunding protocol. Not sure that's a weird way to say that, but this apparently means that Kickstarter's functionality, which is the ability to crowdfund money, will be made open source and moved to the blockchain. Quote from the blog post: as a user, whether you're a creator or backer, the Kickstarter experience you're familiar with will stay the same. You won't see the protocol, but you will benefit from its improvements. Backers can continue to utilize normal credit and debit cards to pledge campaigns. Creators can continue to receive normal currency to fulfill their projects. Now, Steve, you and I might be split on this a little bit because you dabble in cryptocurrency. I do not. All I hear about cryptocurrency is that it's terrible for the environment. The Bitcoin network generates 11.5 kilotons of electronic waste every single year. It's a ton of drain on the environment. But you may have a different thought. What do you think?
No, it can be. And I'm totally with you on there's definitely some negatives. So there's negatives and or at best a neutral on what the hell this means for Kickstarter. It did come out that they have the blockchain that they have backing it is based on the CeeLo blockchain, which is supposedly carbon neutral. Who knows? Or they actually claim carbon negative via offsets. And it's co-founded by none other than former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey.
Huh.
Everything seems a little funky on this one. So
for sure.
More to come, I guess. Like why this matters to anything? Like it almost seems like it's just something that they're saying and doing just to try and stay relevant. So
I know, because it doesn't seem like anybody. I don't know. Everything I saw was pretty much a backlash to this announcement. People saying, "Well, then I'm not going to use Kickstarter anymore." I mean, it's like, whoever you follow on Twitter, it's like, whatever news channel you watch. If you watch Fox News, you think the country is radically different than if you watch CNN or whatever.
Any other news source.
Any other news. Yeah, I should say any other news source. Yeah. For that comparison. But also, like, depending on who you follow on Twitter, like you're in a bubble versus who, whatever else. That's just the way the world works, and it's shitty. But everything that I saw about this was negative reactions. I didn't see one positive reaction to this.
Yeah.
So you got to be wondering if they're going to walk this back, if they're going to say no. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just finished a Kickstarter campaign. I don't know that I would have gone with them if I knew that it was possibly contributing to, total environmental collapse. So it's a weird thing. It's going to be interesting to see where they go and if there's another crowdfunding site that will pop up or, kind of take the reins, because Kickstarter was well known for focusing on comics and graphic novels.
Yeah.
There's other crowdfunding places out there that you can do a comic book through or whatever. People have done comic books through. But Kickstarter was like kind of really put a lot of eggs in the basket of comics, and I saw a lot of comic book creators saying I'm not going to use Kickstarter if they're doing this. So
right.
I guess, like you said, more to come. We'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a weird ride to see if they walk that back. I guess I actually read in that same article that Discord, apparently the service that you and I are using right now to talk to each other, I guess was going to pivot to Bitcoin or integrate it somehow. And there was so much backlash from the users of Discord that they decided to walk it back and said they're not going to do that anymore. So,
hey, listening to your user base, weird.
Yeah, weird. What a weird thing for a company to do. Anyway, moving on from that weirdness, Variety, media publication Variety has released its list of the best comics of 2021. We have some of them here, some of them that have been read by yours truly. Cyclopedia Exotica by Amindir Dwalali. I screwed that name up. I knew I was going to. Dhaliwal. Yeah, Amindir Dhaliwal. Monsters by Barry Windsor Smith. The Good Asian by Porksack Pichote and Alexandre Tefenkai. Tough names tonight. Rorschach by Tom King and Jorge Fornes. Strange Adventures by Tom King, Doc Shaner, and Mitch Gerrits. Far Sector by N.K. Jemisin and Jamal Campbell. And The Many Deaths of Layla Starr by Ram V and Felipe Andrade. No surprise there. Many Deaths of Layla Starr was just universally praised by every outlet that I saw. I only read the first couple issues of it. I don't know why. I think I went to my comic book store and they were sold out of issue 3, so I just didn't buy it and I never put it on my list. But everything I heard that was incredible. I read a few issues of Far Sector. I loved it. It's a Green Lantern book. For those of you that aren't familiar, it's like it takes place in the future in a very far distant realm of the galaxy, so it doesn't really involve Earth or anything at all. It's a cool detective story with a new Green Lantern character that's super interesting. Very worth checking out. I hadn't heard much about Cyclopedia Exotica. Apparently, it's kind of a way to showcase going through life with different disabilities in a world made up of Cyclopses. Very interesting premise.
Encyclopedia, got it.
Yeah, not encyclopedia, Cyclopedia. Yeah. Monsters by Barry Windsor Smith I've heard a lot about, and same with The Good Asian. I've heard nothing but great things about both of those books. And I have read both Rorschach and Strange Adventures, the Tom King written books. Rorschach I thought was very good. Highly recommend for anybody that's into Watchmen, the original graphic novel, and the subsequent HBO miniseries that is canonical to the graphic novel. This is also canonical to both the graphic novel and the TV series, and went some weird directions, but all in all, I thought it was very good. Definitely worth reading.
It's a Rorschach book. It's going to go in some weird directions.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the hardback of that because it has to go next to my Watchmen hardback. So.
Yeah, well, it's coming out soon, and I believe Strange Adventures hard copy I think is out. Actually, they might be coming out this week. Both Rorschach and Strange Adventures might be coming out this week. And as I have said to you before, and I've said on this podcast many times, Strange Adventures is so good. It's very excellent.
Yep.
Up to me, it's not Mr. Miracle to me is like a masterpiece. So I don't know that I would put it. I don't know if I would say it was as good as Tom King's and Mitch Gerrits' Mr. Miracle, but it is.
You get the two of them together though. They're gonna do some good things.
Yeah, it's very great. It goes places you don't expect it to go and does a lot of fun things with the story.
Yeah.
So definitely check those out, especially I believe, like I said, the Rorschach. Oh yeah, no, I'm looking right down at our this week Rorschach hardcover and Strange Adventures hardcover. Both comes out this week. So
it's almost like we make show notes with those on them.
It's almost like that. But anyway, there are other books on Variety's best comics list, so you can check it out on Variety.com. These are just the ones that I had time to write down before we had to start talking on this podcast. But there are a bunch of other ones that are worth checking out, so check that out at Variety.com. We got another announcement from Marvel this week. What Ifs, and by that I mean the animated Disney Plus show What If. What If's Captain Carter is getting her own miniseries from writer Jamie McKelvey and artist Makira Marika Cresta is a series going to focus on Peggy, classic Captain America stuff, waking up in the 21st century after an extended hibernation, and dealing with adjusting to life like we've seen Steve Rogers do many a time. This comes out on March 30th. I thought What If was okay. You thought it was meh enough to not even watch the entire thing. But you must have seen the first episode because that featured Captain Carter. What do you think of Captain Carter, the idea of it, I guess?
I love the concept. I didn't particularly love the execution. It just looked a little too rote Captain America for me, and I think that's what kind of lost me on the series, even after the second episode, like killing it with the T'Challa Star-Lord thing. Like that brought it back, and then it lost me again, and then that sent me off. But conceptually, I love like Peggy Carter taking on that mantle. It fits. So
it should be noted that she has been depicted as Captain America or Captain Britain anyway, prior to her showing up in the What If Disney Plus series. So they didn't invent that concept of her being, a super soldier.
Right.
But I thought it was cool. I liked that episode, but like you said, it just seemed like, okay, this is like Captain America, but just somebody different wearing a Captain America costume, but they're not really making it super different from Captain America. So I'll be interested to see what the miniseries does, if they take any wild swings or do anything that's kind of, I mean, I would hope they do something that puts her on her own path, away from the things that Steve Rogers did or whatever. Or, if you just do everything that he did, but in a slightly different way, is that really interesting? Not really. I don't know.
Right.
Coming out this week in your comic book stores, we got Amazing Spider-Man 81, a book I'm very excited about. Batgirls #1. That's right, Batgirls. We're talking about 3 different ones teaming up. Very excited about that. Batman Urban Legends 10. Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Death #3. Shout out to local Syracuse publisher, Ahoy Comics, for Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Death. This is the series that comes after Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Terror. Like just funny, silly, funny, but also horror at the same time. Anthology series worth checking out.
Intrigued.
Eternals #8, Excalibur 26, Robin and Batman #2. I just read the #1 last night. It was very cool. As previously mentioned, Rorschach hardcover collected edition, Strange Adventures hardcover collected edition coming out. Variety's 2 of Variety's best comics of the year, so check it out, people. Star Wars High Republic Adventures Annual comes out this week, and Wonder Woman issue 782 comes out this week. A lot of stuff going on pre-holidays at your comic book stores. Check them out. Please patronize them if you are planning on looking for something for the nerd in your life. Check out your local comic book store. See what they recommend. Get something good for them. Steve, this is normally when we would go.
As we found out this week, we'll even solicit recommendations for Christmas gifts.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, after we talk about comics, we usually go into one-shots, but are we going there tonight?
I don't think so.
We're not. Something called the Game Awards happened this past week, something that I had never heard of before, but apparently it's a thing. I guess awards are given out, but I didn't hear about any awards. I just heard about game announcements and teasers. So we're talking about video games for the next few minutes here. So buckle up, video game people. We got a few trailers for announcements of some really cool, nerdy video games. I'm going to start off with, wow, an incredible trailer for a game that looks incredible, although not without controversy, which we'll get into. Star Wars Eclipse. And let's move right past the fact that the logo for it looks exactly like the logo for Dune. But Star Wars Eclipse, holy crap, Steve. The trailer for this game looked phenomenal.
Absolutely visually stunning. Like if the cutscenes in this game look anything like what we're seeing from this, it's like, okay, well, I'll watch it. I'll play the game just for the cutscenes.
Yeah, like, can we just get a movie that looks like that?
Seriously.
Like an animated Star Wars movie? Like, it just looks so good. It's seemingly High Republic,
It is, yeah. It's confirmed to be High Republic.
So still High Republic era, like Steve was saying earlier, hundreds of years before the prequel trilogy took place. There's Jedi. There seems to be evil monsters. Somebody rising up out of a bunch of black goo. Somebody banging on drums.
I was going to say, there's a lot of drummers.
Yeah, there's some droids that look similar, but clearly can't possibly be C-3PO. Or there's a droid that looks like C-3PO without his plating on, gold plating, but clearly can't be him because it would be wouldn't make sense with the timeline. There's some Yoda. I think we see Yoda.
Yep.
In the Jedi Council room. I don't know, a super cool trailer. Very excited for this game. Started getting a little skeptical about it when I heard or started reading about the developer Quantic Dream and the controversy that surrounds Quantic Dream being a very toxic, racist, homophobic, misogynistic workplace to work in. People have quit. People have sued them for posting Nazi paraphernalia in the office. Quotes from the CEO that are
not great,
too derogatory to mention here in a live podcast setting.
And most of the controversy around Quantic Dream is based on their founder, CEO David Cage.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
He's a real piece of shit.
Yeah, there we go. I was like, what? How do you phrase this? No, that's about the best way to phrase it. Like, he legitimately is.
Yeah, from what I've read, is a real piece of shit. This is a shitty thing to say, but he said it. I'll just repeat it. It's not the worst thing that I read that he said. He said it, quote unquote, in our games, women are whores. Just like blanket statement. All women are whores in our games. So that's just a little toe in the water of the stuff that has come out of his mouth and the stuff that has gone on at his company and his workplace, I guess, the workplace that he manages. So,
and unfortunately, he seems like he's very good at making video games, or his people are.
Yeah, but still, it's kind of surprising that Lucasfilm would partner with a company that has had to deal with lawsuits about this stuff, and it's kind
Disney
of really
in general seems very anti where the mouse tends to go.
Yeah, so that's really strange. I don't really know how I feel. I mean, I don't feel good about it. I was about to say I don't know how I feel about it. I know how I feel about it. It's not good. I mean, again, the game looks great, but do you want to support somebody that is clearly not a good person and putting non-good thoughts out in the world? I don't know. But anyway, more to be seen. We'll see. Star Trek Resurgence, another game that got announced this past week. It's like a narrative choice kind of game, like those old Telltale games. I played a couple of those Batman ones. There's a Back to the Future one I played. It was cool.
Yep.
That's cool. I like those Telltale games as long as there was 2 Batman games. The second one I thought was better than the first one. The first one was fun, but you could kind of tell that no matter what choice you made, you were always going to end up at a similar place, you know? So the second one was a little bit better at that. So hopefully this is in line with that kind of thing. We also got a trailer for Lord of the Rings Gollum, which I remember hearing about a long time ago, thinking, how good of a game can that possibly be? The trailer looked pretty cool. Apparently it's Gollum or Gollum and Smeagol going back and forth, kind of like different personalities, but also killing orcs when it must be to protect the precious. So I don't know. Did you watch the trailer for it? It seemed pretty cool.
That one I missed, which is funny because I'm, between the two of us, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings guy, and I just, that whole time thing or lack thereof.
Yeah, for sure. We also got a new trailer with some gameplay for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which is something that we've been hearing about since last year at DC Fandom.
Yep.
We got the first trailer back then. We got a new trailer, I think, at this year's DC Fandom or right around that time. And now we
talked about it coming out of Fandom. That's what it was.
Yeah, and we got more. This trailer was more focused on them fighting the Flash. There was a lot of cool gameplay trailer in this, and I don't know. I'm getting really excited for this game. Out of the DC games that I knew were coming, I was more excited about Gotham Knights, the Bat Family game, just because of the characters that it included. But Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is looking really fun. There was like a scene with Deadshot using a jetpack flying over like a, I don't know, like a cliff or something, and just like annihilating people with his guns on a jetpack. I was like, that looks pretty dope.
This definitely confirms what we thought the last time of this is just going to be stupid fun. Yeah. And I think it's going to be well worth a playthrough.
Yeah, for sure. And the graphics looked insane. I'm pretty sure it was like PS5 level graphics that they were showing us in the trailer, because it just looked incredible. I got a PS5 on my Christmas list this year. I don't know if I'm going to get it, but we will see. And last but not least, an announcement.
See if Santa drops off a nice big box for you. Yeah,
we'll see. An announcement that I was not expecting, but so happy about. We're getting a Wonder Woman game. DC has put out some great games in the past, but they've pretty much all been Batman related. Especially, I'm talking about the Arkham series. There's 4 great games in the Arkham series from Rocksteady. In the past, they've done some meh games. They've never, there's a lot has been said about the Superman curse. There's never been a good Superman game put out from DC. And with things like Gotham Knights and even Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, like a lot of the members that they chose, there's 4 main members of the Suicide Squad. 2 of them are known as Batman villains. Then we got King Shark and Captain Boomerang.
Right.
But like Harley and Deadshot are like mostly Batman villains. So like, they lean, when it comes to video games, DC seems to lean hard into the Bat world, which is fine for me, so that somebody loves Batman. But at the same time, there's been plenty of times when I've been playing Arkham City or Arkham Knight or whatever, saying like, man, if they applied this level of work to Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, even like anybody else, it would be so cool.
Or even go crazy with it and go with a Lantern game.
Yeah,
take
man.
Take it huge.
Yes, for sure. But the fact that we're getting a Wonder Woman game, so happy about it. We just got a short cinematic trailer. There wasn't any gameplay. It's obviously still in development. It was similar, similar to like the Wolverine thing we got. We got like a cool short trailer, but no actual gameplay. This is like it's Wonder Woman's mom, Hippolyta, talking about how she needs to save the world, basically, and a couple cool shots of Wonder Woman. There's a well-known nerd commentator, I don't really know how to describe her, named Amy Dallin. She used to be on Collider Heroes. She does a lot of Twitch streaming now. She was on Nerdist for a while. She's on DC Daily for a while. I've heard her talk several times about her love or wanting of a Wonder Woman game, kind of describing it, which makes perfect sense. I wouldn't really thought of it, that a Wonder Woman game could basically be God of War, but with Wonder Woman. Like
literally,
Wonder Woman, literally, right? Like how cool would that be? Like, I don't know, as of this right now, we obviously don't know what this game is really going to be about, but if it's just her slaying giant monsters and like evil gods and Ares and stuff, like I'm sure there's going to be like Earth stuff too, because she's Wonder Woman, but I hope there's a good amount of her like going through Hades or something, that would be so cool. There's so much you can do with a Wonder Woman game, and I'm excited to see it come to fruition, because I'm ready for a game that isn't Bat related as much as I love Batman. I would also love Rocksteady, you did a bunch of great Arkham games. Give us a Superman game. I would love a cool Superman game. I know it's hard because he's got a lot of powers, but just figure it out. Somebody, please figure it out. Superman, come on. He can fly. Shoots lasers from his eyes. Make it happen.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we're ready to move into one-shots. You ready to move into one-shots, Steve?
No, because we have one more thing coming out of the Game Awards.
We do?
The best narrative game award went to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh my gosh. Really?
So I know we had touched on it a couple months ago about how neither of us had played it and we weren't sure coming off of Avengers whether it's worth it.
I know.
And apparently it was worth it. So it's definitely going to be on the list now.
I had heard a lot of great things about that game since you and I originally talked about it months ago, but I'm still like, really? I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if it's the same developer as the Avengers game, but for some reason, the Avengers game was just a little too lackluster to make me care about another Marvel game so quickly, because it came out pretty soon after the Avengers game. It was only a couple months, I think.
Yep.
But yeah, apparently it's great.
Apparently this is much more Spidey than it is Avengers, so.
Yeah. So, I don't know. If I get my PS5, maybe I'll be throwing down some money for the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
There you go.
As well. All right, Steve. Now, boy, I'm glad that I asked you whether you were ready to go into one shots, because if I hadn't and I jumped in, that would have thrown you all off. So I'm glad I did that. One shot.
Back up.
Yeah, one shots. These are things that we like to talk about that we feel like they're worth mentioning, but not spending a ton of time on. So we're gonna rapid fire through these.
Yep.
Actually, this is something. First one we could have probably could have dived into a little bit, but according to Deadline, Patty Jenkins still attached to Star Wars Rogue Squadron. As we talked about a couple weeks ago, it was said that Rogue Squadron had been taken off the release schedule because Patty Jenkins' quote-unquote scheduling conflicts. And we quickly chalked this up to it being more Lucasfilm meddling with directors. Maybe that's not the case. Who knows? We'll probably talk about it more in a little bit.
Yep. In a quick hitter, Cowboy Bebop, the live-action adaptation of the anime by Netflix, has officially been canceled after first season. I haven't seen it. I've heard mixed things about it. Some people really enjoyed it. Some people didn't. So who knows if it'll get picked up somewhere else. But as of now, it is canceled.
Womp womp. Michael Giacchino, composer
extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire. That's a word I was thinking. I was like, why can't I think of that word? Yeah. Composer extraordinaire Michael Giacchino has been announced to score Thor Love and Thunder, or as I wrote it in this notes, Love and Thudder. But I'm pretty sure it's Thunder and not Thudder.
It could be.
I guess, I don't know, they could change the title between now and then, but being scored by Michael Giacchino. Wonderful, incredible composer.
Absolutely. The Eternals is officially coming to Disney Plus in January, so I'll finally actually get to see it.
Hey, me too. Can't wait.
So that'll be good.
Can't wait to spend 2.5 hours on a movie that has got so many mixed reviews. I'm so excited to talk about it. And they officially announced that Shang-Chi 2 is happening. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings did well enough. Did very well in theaters, and also apparently did numbers on Disney Plus. And they announced a sequel. Obviously, no release date or anything yet. Assuming all the main cast is coming back, because they're not gonna let those guys get away.
No, they can just throw money at them and make things happen. Speaking of not being able to throw money at a problem, Letitia Wright is scheduled to return to the set of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Wright was injured, I believe, last month, or maybe 2 months ago at this point.
She was injured in August.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah, it was.
I was thinking it was like September, October. So, yeah. As we can see, you cannot throw money at a problem to make people heal quicker, because she was injured and is hopefully rehabbing and coming back in January to continue filming the film. Right.
And the reason I put this on the one-shots, the reason that I thought it was noteworthy, is that this past week, Steve, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. I saw this on Twitter. Tons of reports based on nothing, as far as I read a few of them, not citing any sources whatsoever, very unsubstantiated rumors that she was going to be replaced in Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Well, I'm not a doctor, but it really doesn't seem like that's happening now.
It really doesn't seem like that's happening. And I was like, clearly we're going to talk about this on the podcast this week, but I feel like we should mention that people are talking about it, although there are no sources whatsoever.
Right.
And turns out, as of, I think, yesterday, maybe this report came out, or maybe it was today even, that she is scheduled to return in January. And I guess that's good. I mean, For her on a personal level, I'm glad that she's able to return. They said that she had a severe concussion, and as we talked about earlier, I have someone close to me in my life that has suffered a concussion and has not been able to resume their normal life since that happened.
Yep.
So, I mean, concussions are very tricky and very different depending on the scale and scope of the injury. So, I'm glad that she is okay. But the rumors that were saying that she wasn't going to come back had to do with her being an anti-vaxxer, which is true. And that Disney/Marvel was going to just get rid of her because she refused to get vaccinated to protect other people on the set or whatever. I'm sure that they're doing testing. I'm sure that she agreed to some kind of, weekly or
some sort of protocol,
weekly protocol testing or whatever.
Yep.
So anyway, Patty Jenkins still attached to Rogue Squadron. This came out, and basically the report was that she has stepped aside from directing Cleopatra. She was going to direct a new version of Cleopatra, again starring Gal Gadot, and she has left that and given it to another director so that in this report from Deadline,
another director that we would know.
Yes, who has worked on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yes,
Carrie
Skoglund, yeah. And this says that she is leaving that so she can focus on Wonder Woman 3 and Star Wars Rogue Squadron. So that's all it really says. But seemingly we were all wrong when we thought this could be more just Lucasfilm meddling or not liking the direction of a thing. And I mean, come on, there's plenty of reason for us to think that that's what it was because they've done it so many times before, as we talked about when we talked about it. But I think you and I also said, I hope that it is a scheduling conflict. I hope that she does do Rogue Squadron because she's very passionate about doing it. And she had a great take on it.
Yep.
Very personal relationship to the story she wanted to tell, her dad being a fighter pilot. So seemingly it was scheduling, and she fixed that issue by getting rid of one of the other movies.
One of the other huge movies she was working on.
Yeah, one of the a huge movie. I'm sure it's going to be great, but also a movie I care less about than either Wonder Woman 3 and Star Wars Rogue Squadron. So
very much so.
I'm happy that she made that move because I would much rather see her do Wonder Woman 3 and Rogue Squadron. And I feel like I'm not Patty Jenkins. I can't pretend that yeah, shocker. Sorry. Spoiler alert. I'm not Patty Jenkins, but just looking at those three and thinking about what I know about her and what things that she has said about Rogue Squadron, Cleopatra is the obvious one to ditch at that point, because at this point, she's not going to let anyone else direct Wonder Woman 3. She's done the first two. She's not going to abandon ship, or she shouldn't.
Right.
She feels beholden to that storyline and those characters. And I know that before Wonder Woman 2 came out, she was talking about how she already had an idea for Wonder Woman 3. So she wants to see that through, I think. At least finish the trilogy. Whoever picks up Wonder Woman movies after that, we'll see. And the fact that she has that personal relationship to fighter pilot stories with her dad being a pilot and wanting to tell a great pilot story. Cleopatra is definitely seemingly the one to go. It's a no-brainer if you take that into it.
I mean, it's a classic movie, and it's a classic story and whatnot, and I guess classic in the sense that it actually happened and such. But it's been told before. It's had other things, other iterations of it. Yeah. Whereas Wonder Woman 3, yes, there's source material. Rogue Squadron, yes, there's source material, but they can be a little bit more of her. She can craft them a little bit more. So probably the wise choice from her standpoint. Plus, those two are both guaranteed to put a lot of money in her bank account.
Oh yeah, for sure. Us nerds will pony up for sure. I'm not shocked about Cowboy Bebop getting canceled. I've never seen the original anime, but from reading reactions from people that have, they say it's basically like a really kind of watered down version of what they basically changed everything that made the original anime worth watching. Kind of like neutered it a little bit, and that people aren't really digging it. So Not surprised that it got canceled. It's a bummer for people that like that show. The casting was really great, I gotta say. John Cho, put him in more stuff. He's great.
I don't think he's ever been in something I haven't liked him in. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he's a great actor. So keep doing that. I love Michael Giacchino. I think he's one of the greatest composers working today. His work, his score for The Incredibles alone is enough to put him in the top tier composers. I think he also did Rogue One. And
yeah, I mean, he's done
tons
a ton.
And he's done the Spider-Man movies. He's done all the.
I was gonna say he's
Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Yeah,
we're gonna be hearing from him on Thursday, as well as he's doing the Batman and.
That's right. He is doing the Batman.
Jurassic World Dominion. So he's been doing some of the Jurassic World. Well, he's been doing, I believe, a good number of the Jurassic series.
Yep.
So, Ratatouille, Up, Super 8, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Zootopia. Yeah, he's okay.
Yep, he's definitely worked with Marvel/Disney a number of times.
And close to your heart, Mission Impossible series.
Oh my gosh, yes. I do love those Mission Impossible movies. So mad when they got delayed. Eternals, gonna watch it. Yeah, Shang-Chi, whenever that happens, gonna watch it. I already talked about Letitia Wright. So are we gonna close this episode with another segment of Hawkeye Talkeye?
I think so. I think it's Hawkeye Talkeye time.
All right, well, if you haven't seen the most recent episode of Hawkeye, or you're just trying to avoid spoilers in general, I would say jump right now. We're going to spend the last couple minutes of this show talking about Hawkeye.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen Hawkeye, still feel free to follow us on Twitch, subscribe on your podcatcher of choice, subscribe on YouTube, ring the bell, do the whole 9 yards, and give us some feedback. Let us know. Multiverse RPT on Twitter, the Multiverse Report on any other social media, the Multiverse Report at gmail.com. If you have seen Hawkeye and want to hear us talk about Hawkeye, then, or if you haven't seen it and still want to hear us talk about it, hang on, and we'll be after the monsters from the Muppets that make no sense are gone. We'll be going into spoilers in 3, 2.
Hawkeye.
That is now our official spoiler warning. When Mike breaks into that is our spoiler warning. Oh, that's amazing.
That is the best.
So
we're old people.
Yes.
So yeah, Hawkeye episode 4.
I'm crying. I'm literally crying.
Good. I can't say I remember everything that happened in this episode. I remember that Clint met Kate's mom and soon-to-be stepfather, Jack Duquesne.
Yep.
Awkward conversation with the mom. Please keep my daughter out of trouble, which sets up the end of the episode, in which we saw spoiler alert for Hawkeye. Also spoiler alert for Black Widow. If you haven't seen Black Widow, jump off right now or stop caring. We see Natasha's sister Yelena show up, which we should have all been waiting for.
Yep.
Based on the post-credit scene of Black Widow. And they are delivering in a big way. Yelena comes out in full force trying to take out Clint. Also, obviously, tangling with Kate at the same time. I really loved the immediacy after that fight was over at the end. The immediacy of Clint being like, nope, it's over. Go home.
Yeah.
I'm not getting you involved. Like, they sent a Black Widow after me. You need to not be a part of this anymore because she will kill you.
Yeah.
like
this went from tracksuits to get the hell out of here. You're out of your league.
Yep. We're not playing anymore. And bye. I thought that was great.
Which, and of course, I mean, we have 2 episodes left, so we know she's not leaving.
Yeah, assumedly, we're going to see her again in the next episode. Possibly the next 2. I don't know. Yeah. I'm very interested to see what her relationship ends up being with both Clint and Kate.
Yeah.
And because I don't think she knows anything about Clint other than what she was told about Clint. So, which is that he's responsible for Natasha's death, which is not entirely true. And that's really not true at all.
Right.
I mean, he tried to be the one that went over the cliff and tried to save her from going, and she chose to go.
Right. Outside of the fact that he was present when it happened, then
Right. It's not
there's
his
really.
fault.
But I'm trying to think of timelines of with Yelena. Like when they got the band back together, she would have already been, best friends with Clint. So she has to know that Clint and Natasha had a relationship.
But does she though? Because Natasha and Yelena hadn't spoken in a long time.
No, but after about 2 weeks or however long the culmination of Black Widow took, you'd think it would have come up somewhere if they're in the same place for 24/7.
I gotta watch Black Widow again. I loved it.
It was a great movie.
I thought it was great. I really liked it. Yeah, that's a good point. But we're definitely going to get some kind of clearing of the air of "it's not my fault" kind of thing. We did finally confirm, or we found out, or Kate found out that Clint is Ronin.
Yes.
Or was Ronin in a really cool. I thought Jeremy Renner was great in that scene.
I thought in general in this show he's been above and beyond what we've seen from Jeremy Renner in general.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great actor when he wants to be. I think you can tell when he's phoning it in a little bit.
Yeah.
But when he's plugged in, I think he's really great, and I think he was plugged in this episode. For sure, because it did have a lot of heart. I loved the whole sequence of them celebrating Christmas or whatever, wearing their dumb Christmas sweaters. And,
that was great.
Buddies or whatever, that was great.
Yep.
I don't know. The show continues to be great. There was no more. I think everybody was probably dying for like another tease of Fisk, Kingpin,
right?
But we didn't really get. But
they couldn't give you that 2 weeks unless they were going to reveal him. He wasn't coming back this week.
I think I think they're saving it for the last episode. We'll probably get another mention of the uncle,
right?
Echo's uncle or whatever, maybe this week. But I don't think we're going to see him until the last episode, and I think that we very much will. So I don't know. I like the show a lot. I know I've read a couple reports saying it's the lowest rated Disney Plus show, but if you're not watching it, don't sleep on it. It's good. I like it a lot.
Dare I say it's we've only got 4 to go off of.
Yeah,
it's up there. But it's definitely not at the bottom. It's pretty close to the top.
I think I think I said this already on the podcast. It's my second favorite after WandaVision.
Yeah,
I think right now.
Yeah,
so
it's good.
Don't sleep on it. Watch your Hawkeye, people. Do it.
Eat your vegetables. Watch your Hawkeye.
Do we know what the next Disney Plus show is? Have they announced a date for Moon
Ms.
Knight?
Marvel, right? They bumped Ms. Marvel to fall of next year, probably because the Marvels is getting bumped.
Right, also got bumped. Yeah.
Right. So probably Moon Knight. Maybe.
Is it Moon Knight?
I don't
think we have
is that the only other? Is that the only other announced MCU that we know has been filming?
She-Hulk.
Oh, true. But we have no idea how far along that is.
No, we do not.
Yeah. So it's probably it's got to be either She-Hulk or Moon Knight.
Seems like we're going to get a break in Marvel live-action Disney Plus content for a while after this year.
Well, they're dropping this, and then Book of Boba Fett. We've seen through this whole thing, they only like to really have one Star Wars or Marvel thing going whole hog at a time. So if we're going Book of Boba Fett, that brings us into February.
Yeah.
But
then we haven't really heard, I don't think.
Right.
We don't have a date for Obi-Wan. We don't have a date for Moon Knight or She-Hulk.
Right.
Ms. Marvel probably got bumped, like you said. So I think it's going to be a while before we see any other Marvel stuff live action. I mean, they're finishing Obi-Wan now. They already shot Obi-Wan. So
right.
Who knows? Maybe Obi-Wan is March or May.
Yeah, they announced both of that. it looks like they announced that She-Hulk and Moon Knight are definitely 2022.
Yeah.
Which fits with what we thought. Apparently, I Am Groot.
Oh yeah, that's right. The animated I Am Groot show. Yeah, okay, that'd be cool. That'd be something.
Beyond that, yeah. I mean, no, there's no way Secret Invasion would be early. That's got to be late in the year.
Yeah, I don't know. Armor Wars also, Ironheart.
Right, but we haven't heard anything about any of them filming.
I don't know if there was even filming yet.
I don't know.
And we certainly didn't see when we got on Disney Plus Day. We only got teasers for Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel,
and She-Hulk.
And She-Hulk. We didn't get anything from Secret Invasion or Armor Wars or Ironheart or anything else. So
I want to see Riri in live action.
Yeah, me too. Who knows when we're going to see it? I mean, she's going to debut in Wakanda Forever, I guess, but that's bumped out for now.
Crazy. Oh yeah, if she's debuting in Wakanda Forever, then guess
then her show is probably going to because everything got pushed back, so that show got pushed back too, obviously.
And if that happened, we're not going to see Ironheart or Armor Wars until Wakanda Forever's out. She's got to be in both of those.
You think she's in Armor? I mean, yeah, I guess it would make sense that she would be in Armor Wars. You're right.
So,
good call.
Yeah, we'll see.
We will see. So, I don't know. More of the story, kids. Watch Hawkeye. You're gonna miss out on what I think is a pretty big villain reveal at the end. So, don't sleep on Hawkeye. And that's it for this week. I think I got nothing else.
No, I'm good here.
All right, well, make sure to like and subscribe and do all the things that Steve usually says. Email us and check out our website, multiversereport.com, all that stuff. Tell us you like us. Write a review on Apple Podcasts. That'd be great.
Write us a song.
Yeah, write us a song. That would be cool.
We'll use it as the intro.
Yeah, you want your song to be our intro? You're sick of the one that I wrote? How dare you? But also, if you want your song to be our intro for a 1 week, send it to us.
Yeah, just don't tell Mike's wife that she's no longer the intro.
Yeah, nah, she doesn't care. She's fine. But yeah, write us a nerdy song, and it'll be the intro or the outro or both. We'll see. But until then, I got nothing else, Steve. You got anything else?
Good here.
All right. Well, until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time in the multiverse.